All right, get ready because we are diving deep into AI-powered brand messaging. We've got this really cool tool called AI Techie Boys GPTX Brand Messaging Matchmaker. Find a Trait II? Yeah, I know, it's a mouthful. But trust me, stick with us as we break down how this thing is supposed to help unlock your brand's potential. And it really is way more than just a fancy name.
What's really cool is how this AI says it can mix like super advanced tech with a deep understanding of what makes people tick, human psychology. It would be a really powerful combo for how brands communicate.
Yeah, it sounds like it could be a real game changer. The material we've got says it's mainly aimed at marketing people, business leaders, and creative agencies. So if you're listening, chances are this is going to be right up your street. The thing that jumped out at me straight away was this autonomous precision thing. The AI can supposedly create consistent on-brand messaging all by itself. That's a pretty big claim, right? How does that even work?
Yeah. Well, think about all the time and effort that you spend trying to craft the perfect message, making sure it fits with your brand's voice and that your audience is going to connect with it. This autonomous precision is all about taking that work off your plate. It's basically like having a messaging expert who never sleeps working 24/7 to make sure every single piece of content hits the mark.
Okay, yeah, I'm starting to see why people would want to use this, but let's be honest, we've all seen AI that spits out that generic robotic content.
Yeah.
How do we know the messaging from this tool isn't going to sound like, well, a robot wrote it?
That's where the deep profiling comes in. So imagine if an AI could not only understand your brand inside and out, but also really dive deep into the psychology of your target audience, figure out their needs, what motivates them, what they really want, and then it crafts messages that speak directly to those things, their core drivers. So you end up creating a much stronger connection than with like surface level marketing.
So it's not just about shouting the same message at everyone. It's about tailoring it to people's specific psychological profiles. If it actually works, that is super powerful.
Exactly. That level of personalized communication is what makes a brand stand out. It's about going beyond just selling a product or a service and actually building those meaningful relationships with your audience based on genuine understanding.
This is starting to sound like the holy grail of brand communication. But before we get carried away, let's go back to autonomous precision for a minute. How much control do you actually have over the messaging? Is it just the AI doing its own thing? Or can you kind of steer it in a particular direction?
From what I understand, it's a bit of both. You set the overall strategy and the goals you want to achieve, and then the AI takes it from there. It generates a bunch of messaging options that fit with what you're trying to do. It's kind of like having a super skilled copywriter. You give them a brief and they turn it into really compelling content.
So it's more like a collaboration than the AI taking over completely. That makes me feel a bit better about letting an AI handle this stuff. So let's dig into deep profiling a bit more. We're talking about getting inside the minds of our audience, right? How does the AI actually get that kind of psychological insight?
Well, without getting too technical, think about the massive amount of data that's out there these days. We leave digital footprints everywhere we go online. And this AI is built to analyze that data. It can spot patterns and find insights that reveal our underlying motivations and needs.
So it's like having a team of digital detectives. They piece together a psychological profile for each customer. That's pretty impressive. But if I'm honest, it's a little bit creepy too.
I can see why you'd say that, but think about it from the customer's point of view. Wouldn't you rather see messages that actually relate to your interests and needs instead of generic ads that don't speak to you at all?
Yeah. That's a good point. I guess it's all about how that information is used. And talking of using information effectively, the stuff we've got here mentions that the AI is based on proven marketing frameworks and methodologies. Can you tell us a bit more about that? I'm curious how it manages to blend creativity with effectiveness.
That's really important. It's not just about coming up with random creative ideas. It's about combining those ideas with strategies that have actually been shown to work. It's like having a really experienced marketing consultant guiding every decision the AI makes.
So you get that unique mix of cutting-edge technology and good old-fashioned marketing know-how. I like that. Okay, so we've talked a lot about what this AI tool can do. Autonomous messaging, deep profiling, proven frameworks. But I want to know why. Why should we even care about all of this? What's the end goal of using this kind of tech for brand communication?
I think the why boils down to one word: connection. In today's crazy, busy digital world, it's harder than ever to stand out and make a real impact. This AI is all about helping you cut through the noise and connect with your audience on a deeper level. It's about building loyalty and trust. And that's what leads to real, tangible results.
So it's about using AI to build genuine human connections. That's a powerful idea. It's not just about automation. It's about making us better at communicating and building relationships that really matter. We've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive, and I can already see how much potential this AI-powered approach has. But we're only just getting started.
You know, one of the things that I find really interesting about this tool is just how much it can do. Like, we've barely scratched the surface here. There's still so much more to discover.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And speaking of discovering more, let's talk about this dynamic adaptation feature. This one really caught my eye. In today's world, things are changing all the time. So how does the AI keep up? How does it make sure that the messaging stays relevant and up to date?
That's where dynamic adaptation comes in. Imagine, like, a chameleon, right? They change color to blend in with their surroundings. Well, this AI is kind of similar. It's constantly looking at data, keeping track of trends, and it tweaks its messaging strategies in real time to make sure that it's always relevant and impactful.
So instead of creating content that just gets old really quickly, it's always evolving and adapting to the changing marketing landscape. That's a game changer for brands that are trying to stay ahead of the game. But wouldn't all this constant adaptation need a ton of human oversight, just to make sure the messaging doesn't go off the rails?
Not necessarily. You can definitely fine-tune things and change the settings, but the really cool thing about dynamic adaptation is that it can work on its own. It's designed to stick to your overall brand strategy and objectives while still making those real-time changes.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. It's like having this built-in agility factor for your brand messaging.
And speaking of keeping things engaging, let's move on to resonant storytelling. Now, everyone loves a good story, but how can an AI really master the art of storytelling? How can it create narratives that really grab an audience?
Well, think about the stories that you remember long after you've heard them. They usually tap into those universal emotions, desires, and dreams, right? And that's what this AI tries to do too. It uses those data-driven insights and combines them with proven storytelling techniques, so it can create stories that resonate on an emotional level.
So it's not just about listing facts or features, it's about making a connection through a good story. This resonant storytelling thing is really starting to show how this tool could transform how brands communicate. But let's talk about the big question here: flawless execution. Can an AI really create top-notch content across all sorts of formats, like social media posts, long articles, even technical documents? It's a bold claim, for sure, but that's exactly what this AI tool promises. And from what I've seen, it can actually adapt its style and tone to suit different formats and audiences. Imagine this. Instead of needing a whole team of writers who specialize in different things, you've got one AI that can switch gears effortlessly and create amazing content that's tailored to specific needs.
That sounds almost too good to be true. But wouldn't that mean human writers and content creators would be out of a job? Is this the end of the road for us creative types?
I don't think it's the end, no. It's more like a change in how we think about things. This kind of AI can free us up from those boring, repetitive tasks, so we can focus on the bigger picture, the strategy, the really creative stuff. It's about working together, not replacing humans altogether.
So it's more about helping humans do what they do best, not getting rid of them completely. It's been quite a journey so far, wouldn't you say? We've explored how this AI can adapt, tell stories, and create content across all sorts of formats. But as AI becomes a bigger and bigger part of our lives, I think it's really important to think about the ethical side of things. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a really crucial point. We can't just ignore the ethical implications. AI has so much potential, that's for sure. But as the saying goes, with great power comes great responsibility. When it comes to brand communication, we need to make sure that this technology is used ethically and responsibly. I mean, think about it. This AI can get right into the heart of human psychology. It understands what motivates us, what we desire. That kind of knowledge is incredibly powerful. And we have to make sure it's used for good, not to manipulate or exploit people. Transparency is absolutely essential.
Definitely. Brands need to be upfront about how they're using AI, so consumers feel like they're in the loop and they have a choice, not like they're being tricked or manipulated. But what about bias? We've all heard those stories about AI algorithms that just reinforce existing biases, and that can lead to unfair or even discriminatory outcomes. How can we avoid those risks when it comes to brand messaging?
That's a really valid concern, and it's something that developers and marketers need to tackle head on. It's so important to have diverse teams involved in creating and training these AI models to try and minimize bias from the get-go and make sure things are inclusive. And it's not a one-time thing. We need regular audits and assessments to help spot and fix any unintended biases that might pop up.
So it's an ongoing process. We need to monitor, refine, and hold ourselves accountable for the ethical implications of this technology. It's not just about creating impactful messages, it's about doing it the right way, in a way that upholds ethical standards and builds trust with our audience. As we come to the end of this deep dive, I'm really struck by how AI has the potential to completely transform brand communication. It's not just about making our lives easier, it's about fundamentally changing how we connect with our audiences and building relationships that are more authentic, more personalized, and more meaningful.
Absolutely. I think the main takeaway here is that AI isn't just a tool, it's a partner. It can help us unleash new levels of creativity, efficiency, and impact. But like with any partnership, it takes open communication, clear boundaries, and a shared commitment to doing things the right way, ethically, if we can navigate that successfully. The future of brand communication is incredibly exciting.
It really is. And that future is being shaped right now. So to everyone listening, as AI keeps evolving, let's embrace its potential, but always be mindful of the implications. Let's use this technology to create a future where brands and consumers can connect on a deeper level, building relationships that are built on trust, transparency, and shared values. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it insightful and that you're feeling inspired to unlock your brand's true potential in this exciting new era of AI-powered communication.